So here we are, we're live. Welcome to MindBody TV. I'm Dr. Kim Duramo. I am joined by an amazing guest today, Damien Wynne, who I'm going to introduce in a second. He is someone I've worked with I think I found him a year ago, and I've had mentoring with him, which has been really profound. What I'm sharing today is really about how so many of us are on this search for wholeness, where we have this deep feeling within, I'm not whole, I'm not complete. Then we have maybe this physical illness or depression, anxiety, or chronic pain. And it just puts us on this hamster wheel of searching for that wholeness. When I was introduced to this perspective that we're going to share today, it really was like a ding, 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 ding for why so many of us who are really, really energy sensitive, empathic, feel things so deeply and so intensely, but then find like we're constantly disappointed and constantly coming up empty to actually have that wholeness. We're trying to fill it from the outside in. It can really only be arrived at from the inside. And this is everything I'm sharing in my work, certainly everything Damien is sharing in his work, but there's a particular little nugget that he had that I wanted him to be able to share today. So I am really excited to have everyone here. So Damien, who is living in Greece, is a very intuitive coach, guide, healer, doing really, really amazing work. And when I found his work several months ago, a year ago, I just have really resonated with him ever since. And I'm so excited that he's agreed to come and share with our community today. So hello, Damien. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Kim. Such a pleasure and honor to connect with you as always, actually, and to your audience. Thank you. And yeah, it's amazing. We were talking about this a long time, and it turned out that I'm doing a webinar this weekend. It was just a coincidence, actually, synced up perfectly. So the vanishing twin, that was the main team, actually. So I've been working a lot on myself over the last since I was born, but working through the years, and I always found, as you say, this missing piece, frozenness, heaviness, and an opening in my system. So what I discovered about 10 years ago was that I had a vanishing twin. What is a vanishing twin? A vanishing twin usually appears, it's a living twin, so there's two of you in the womb, and then after usually about 12 weeks, 14 weeks, the twin, in around that period, the twin would pass. Now, the impact is huge on how you live your life, because that it sets you up for the rest of your life. Whatever happens in the womb, your first experience of everything sets you up in the subconsciousness for the rest of your life. So what I observed in the system, for example, if there's another egg, now, as in the case of a mom is sick, the child will give their stem cells to mom. I noticed when I was working with people that when you're in the womb, and there's another egg there, another child there, a brother, a sibling, brother, or sister, or maybe more, that you suddenly will start feeling that your sibling's getting sick, and you start giving your stem cells. So that sets you up that for the rest of your life, you're going to be giving your essence to people. You're second in the system. So there's a point then where the soul will start making transition, and you will feel it. And there's a merger. So you go into the twins place. So means that you're actually in the wrong place. So it sets you up that you're in the wrong place for the rest of your life. And we're full of system information. I can embody into my own body. I can work on my topics. I can use my intuition, my gifts in my system. But if I'm using it in somebody else's system, especially a sibling system, I come back unworthy, low self-confidence, an ability. For example, I just drew it here in my aura. I will have, where my camera is.
Yeah, this is what I wanted you to show. This was really powerful.
So I will have an opening in the aura because the other egg has an imprint. So then I'm carrying a living aura and a dead aura in the system. So with an opening in your aura, because you have the imprint of an opening from the womb, it means that you're in people's systems and they're in your system. So you're in the world topics. So you feel like I need to save the world. So you're in the world's topics because the world's topics are in your system. When you walk and if you have a coffee with a friend, you're in your friend's topics. and your friend feels, whoa, hang on, I didn't ask you to go there, you know? So there's overstepping boundaries, but you'll feel overwhelmed as well. So you have a tendency to be overwhelmed. Also, it's a very physical thing. Scientifically, in the medical world, it's really come up more with the vanishing twin because there's a merger. And I've worked with a lot of people, for example, a lot of women who've two wombs, for example, who maybe a kidney, the liver being damaged, and because the inflammation, or even a cancer, if there's a cancer, it could be because you've got the living cells of the twin, which is deadness. So it brings in a lot of disease. It brings in a lot of illnesses. It brings in a lot of psychological problems, addictions, for example. You always have this tendency of, I'm never enough. First of all, I'm not first because I'm not number one in the system. And because of this uncompleted circle, sorry, my camera's there, you'll have the tendency that when you start a project, you won't complete a project because you let it go. So you have a tendency to start things and not complete things, or not get the fruits of life. And also, if you're carrying a child, you could have a tendency to have a miscarriage or even to have an abortion due to this as well. And there could be, as a heaviness, depression, anxieties. The nervous system is overloaded because you're in two nervous systems. And you don't know, you can't ground, you can't get into your body. You are difficult to make decisions because the first decision in your life is, well, to be born or maybe not to be born. So it's heavy to make decisions. It's life-threatening in the system. So there's a heaviness around decisions. Also, you'll have a tendency for the rest of your life to look for this vanishing twin. And you will go into a relationship with another twin. A lot of people are talking about twin souls. I would perceive it more as they have a vanishing twin. A vanishing twin is a much more common than people realize. And I realize that most empathic people would have vanishing twins. And that's why we're so empathic, because we know what it's like to be in somebody's system, and we know what they feel like and what trauma they've gone through. We can sense people. We can read people. We can read a room before you go into the system, into that room, because you had to, because it was heavy to enter the room, because you have to check the room out. So your system, and also a tendency of not feeling like I belong here, because in relationships, for example, you will attract usually someone who has a vanishing twin. A vanishing twin relationship is very intense, very codependent, and very intense first. It's all or nothing. You should be like me. If you're not like me, maybe get out, not like a relationship. A relationship is, well, you have different qualities. You're not like me, but I have different qualities. I love you, and we share our love together. We share our lives together. It's not this all or nothing. It's different. A twin relationship is very intense, full of letdowns, full of regrets. One partner will be up, let's go and do this. The other one will be like, no, they pour the ice on it. Or else the other one will suddenly be lively, and then the other one will be down. So the two of them are never on the same wavelength. Also, because you're in the partner will represent that you're in the womb with your partner, it's you and the rest of the world. So it's like the membrane of the womb is still there. And that membrane is like an invisible membrane that you feel different. You feel outsider in the group. You feel an outsider to the world because there's a membrane in front of you. People don't feel like they can't get close to you, connect with you. Because that veil is in the way, and you feel like, whoa, I want to go home. I want to get out of the body, because also you'll have a tendency between life and death. So you could get sick very fast and heal very fast. Always this life and death or drama.
Well, this is why I really was excited to bring this to my community, is because so many with these diseases are so empathic, picking up on everyone's energy, but then their body is so depleted and the physical system shuts down, and they have like 25 diagnoses or some sort of severe diagnoses. Can we talk first about the whole twinning effect? Because,
Sure.
as a physician, until I met you, I really hadn't realized the studies we've had and how common twinning is, that the body wants to, proliferate and then, the best chance it has. So this twinning phenomenon happens a lot more frequently than we've imagined. And that's why we haven't really considered this.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So what happens is your twin will pass, but you've merged with the twin, and then you digest the twin because you're in the womb together. So you start digestion. So the information then is that I'll even digest the toxins for people. So toxic relationships. Now the digestion is a major thing. A lot of people with vanishing twin have digestion problems because the digestion will hold this toxicity because the system's saying, well, that's the only connection I have with my twin, so I'm not going to even let that go, even though it's bad for me. So there's a lot of digestion topics. There's a lot of kidney problems, liver, anxieties, frustration, toxic, really toxicity. I noticed as well, for example, a lot, like I had a habit, I don't know, I had a strange things. I'd always get food poison or something would poison me. Anything that wouldn't affect anyone else, it would poison me. If I took a little bit of alcohol, it would affect me. If I took anything at all, it would be dramatic for me. I had the injections as a child, that damaged me. So things you would have it in affiliation in magnetize poisons in the system because in your system, the first imprint is very important. So your system will accept toxins in your system. So I was eating right, I was exercising right, I was doing everything right, but yet I wasn't absorbing minerals. I wasn't.
Well, this is what a lot of people in this community will say, like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And why I've brought my work to be really about that foundational core of where are we functioning in the consciousness? Are we functioning from emptiness, trying to fill the holes from the outside in, and then everything's just another fix? There's no wholeness. Or when I function from my wholeness, solutions come in effortlessly. And I think this is one of those like solutions perspectives. Now, obviously, people can take this and go on another hamster wheel with this whole vanishing twin thing. But when you actually, if it feels inspired, to let it be a completion of like, wow, I'm really searching for this outer thing. Where can I meet that within myself? Which is what Damien does, he has a video on this, which is really beautiful. It's just another way to nurture the wholeness. Very, very different from trying to fill the hole with just yet another thing and another perspective. And, someone had said, I felt I met my twin flame, but this makes more sense. And I'd had a lot of relationships like that as well, where it was like, this is the thing, and really, really intense and really like, wow. But then it's actually an emptiness. It's not an unconditional love and a fulfilling presence. It's kind of like another emptiness, like another chase, and it's ultimately very limited.
It's consuming. It's like it's really, it's intense, but so we're energy, and there's our field of energy is creation, like nature, and this energetic field needs you as spirit, your energy field in your cells, in your center. And if you've got a vanishing twin, for example, like I work a lot with viruses as well, that when viruses come up in the system when someone's out of the body, so when there's trauma open. Now, I also was full of virus. I was like, there was always virus counts were coming. I said, why is virus counts coming up in my system? Because I wasn't in my body, because it wasn't my system to be in. It was my brother's system.
Yes.
And then when I went into my own system, then my whole health changed. I started absorbing the food that I was always eating right. I was always eating right. I was always exercising right. And suddenly I start getting healthy. And I noticed a massive difference. I felt also, I had this thing that I always used to sleep with the cushion, on the side, like this, because it was the womb thing, looking for that love. And suddenly I realized when I worked with the twin in me, I was lying on my back at night. I felt full, I felt whole, I felt complete, I felt balanced. I felt like I was number one in the system, and I had boundaries. So it really is, as you said, it's like this big hole that you're trying to fill up with different things. It could be addictions, whatever they may be, or looking for that love, that special love. But really, in reality, you won't find that love because nobody else can fill that shoes. Only a real twin, your own twin, not somebody else's twin, not someone else's vanishing twin. And this love you were looking for, can come into you and fill you up, and you're whole again. And also the double information which is in your system, it's almost like there's two trains going side by side, and you're jumping from one to another all the time, and it's exhausting. So your system is exhausted from this continuous back and forth, and then suddenly you relax, and then the body heals itself, because the body knows how to heal itself. But if you're in this information of life and death, then it brings in conflicting information in the system.
Yeah, and we don't actually need to know conclusively, which most of us won't have that physical evidence, but energetically, like when I first learned this, so Damien does these webinars like monthly, is it every month?
Every month, yes.
And they're all different themes, but it just basically brings you through an integration energetically and a return to wholeness, a release of, you know, things you're working on that could be years and years and years, and an integration into wholeness. And so when I saw this one, I was like, I don't have anything to do with that. I don't have any twinning going on. And when I had a session with him privately, he brought this up right away. And I was like, really? And I remember what you said. You're like, well, most people who have this phenomenon don't really understand that. They don't know this is happening at all.
But they don't want to do the webinar either. 90%.
I felt like as if I enter this and I do the integration, that it would be a better place to share it with others from the wholeness of having completed that. So yeah, and I think there are a lot of people in this community that would definitely.
Well, I'll tell you why, because it's really important to know why. That's why I wanted to go there a little bit.
Yeah.
It's because, see, your twin is the closest person you'll ever have a connection with. It's closer than a parent, it's closer than a normal sibling, it's closer than a partner. So it's devastating. So the experience from that womb is really traumatic. So the system doesn't want to go there. That's why people are not going to the, you know, they'll say, I did all your webinars, but they didn't resonate. That's what they all, like 90% of the people I'm doing sessions with who have twins, I did all your webinars, but that one doesn't resonate with me at all. It's cool, thank you. But actually, because it's the protections in the system.
Yeah.
So there's a protection not to go into a deep relationship. I've worked with people who've never had a relationship and then suddenly start dating, you know. So it's really a big trauma in the system. So there, around big traumas, there's huge protection not to go there. Whereas there's massive gifts when you go there. You really embody and you find yourself and you discover yourself and you discover who you are. Also, the low self-confidence goes because you're using your gifts in your sibling system. So you lose that low self-confidence. And the confusion about who you are comes in, especially your talents. Because you're in your own system, maybe for the first time in your life, actually. So things start coming into balance in your life and you start finding yourself and you stop sacrificing yourself and giving yourself to everybody on the outside.
And it strengthens the physical system immensely.
Absolutely.
Anything we do to integrate our own wholeness immediately strengthens the immune system, immediately realigns the nervous system, the receptors, the neural networks, immediately recalibrates the digestive system, which we know is so linked to the gut microbiome and the different, you know, good bacteria or the bad and the virus, you know, the viruses and yeast, and that's all frequency. You know, each different bacterium has its own frequency signature, and when we resonate in a higher personal frequency or greater wholeness, that literally shifts the entire gut microbiome into one of health and resilience. And this is a major core with, you know, viruses or pathogens and Lyme disease and things, and where our body's either a strong host for those diseases or not at all, and they literally clear. So someone's asking, how do I complete this so I can have health and resolve chronic illness? This is you know, exactly what we're talking about. Even just the awareness of this can recalibrate your system to become aware of, like, oh my gosh, I've been functioning from this emptiness, And I know a lot of people are saying, this is how I felt my whole life. This really resonates. And then to begin to connect within for the wholeness instead of looking outside ourselves. So some of you may go no further with this, but just have that awareness of like, whoa, there's more happening in here, and how the relationship I'm in with it can change all of it. And for people who want to go forward, Damien has really beautiful work specifically around this. And he's got the Vanishing Chin webinar he did months back, but there's also another one that's coming up this weekend, just coincidentally went along with this timing for our interview. So we'll be sure to send you the link for the invitation for that. There's a lot of questions here too. I don't know if you can see.
Sure.
People are saying, I felt exactly like Kim. I didn't think it was me. How do I know this is for me? Do I have a vanishing twin? I don't trust myself enough to know this.
That's another. So a lot of people, I have a full list on the website, on my website, of different symptoms of it. And it's interesting, Lyme's disease, you mentioned Lyme's disease, that comes up a lot. So you're attracting this into the system. So undecisiveness, and because if you imagine, there's almost like there's you and your twin, the soul, having a conversation behind about everything in your life. I've worked a lot with, for example, women where the mom would dress the girl up like a boy, or the boy like a girl in the childhood, because the mom feels it, but she doesn't know it. Or the girl would be like a tomboy because there's a brother in the system, and then she starts behaving like a tomboy. So there's a lot of different symptoms that comes up related to health, related to not feeling enough, not putting yourself first, having a helper syndrome, and giving. I remember as a kid, if you gave me an apple, I'd give it to the person next to me. It's like you're giving your essence, you're giving your last to everybody, So, and also in the relationship, as we said, with this going into relationships very deep, jumping out of relationships, or
empathic, very energy sensitive. I think that's a major piece.
Absolutely. I was even cross-eyed because my system was completely confused. Everything was confused. It was double in my system. But what's beautiful about it is that when you do it, you get a lot of aha moments. A lot of people I've worked with have done so many different things for their health, for their relationships. And suddenly when they get this key, everything falls into place, and the results of everything you did falls into place immediately in the system as well. That's the beauty of it, because to get results, you need to be in the cells, in the body.
In the body.
Then you're in your own body, and then all that work that you did already is in, and maybe half that work doesn't belong to you, it belongs to a sibling. So you don't even need to touch that work. You step out of it.
Beautiful. Mirjam is saying, thank you. I do recognize much of this. I have many chronic illnesses. It's already changing with the Embracing Health course, which is fantastic. And it's centered around a very similar, it's a return to wholeness. But yes. Carrie said, when I was able to release my twin sister years back, my husband could even see my eyes were different. And I have noticed I haven't been as ill. I'm always exploring if she is completely gone.
Yeah, beautiful. It's like that. It's amazing. It's amazing. I've worked with couples where the husband says, I always knew there was another one in the marriage. Because we're talking about, if you're in a relationship with someone else who's a twin, there's 4 of you in the relationship. Maybe there's 5, maybe there's 2 twins in the system, in your system. So it really plays out. It sounds a bit esoteric maybe, but it actually is very scientific. It's proven. But the spirit lives in the system with you until you realize it, and then you step out. It's not that the twin is in your system. You've moved into your twin system. That's the key, really.
It's out of your own center.
Exactly. And it's usually one twin is born, is older or younger. So if you're in the older place, that's the wrong place, and you'll be in that place all your life with every situation. You'll have a tendency that people will make decisions over you. People will take things from you. People will leave you out. People forget about you. You'll be left behind. You'll feel lonely. You feel betrayed. You feel guilty. Guilt is a huge one, because you feel guilty for living, guilty to be here. I remember someone stepped on my toes, I'd say, I'm sorry, this guilt for being here, because The guilt comes from the womb. And then the decision in the birth canal, when you go into the birth canal, is between life and death. Should I be born, or do I stay with my twin, even though my twin died? So there's a feeling of, I left my twin behind. And there's that confusion between life and death. There's affiliation with life and death in the system. So that brries in disease.
Suicide and depression and all kinds of
suicide.
things.
Usually there's a first suicide attempt in the womb after you lose your twin, and that's the umbilical cord around the neck. That usually pops up in the system too. So there's a tendency for suicide in the system as well, yes.
Well, and I remember when you spoke about the overwhelm, and this really resonated for me, and a lot of people I work with are also in that overwhelm. And you said if anyone's in overwhelm, it's where they're taking on others' topics and taking on others' energies, and those energies can't resolve in your system. So a lot of times I have people give everyone their energy back, and there's a lot that recalibrates in their system just from that. But I think especially when there's this twinning, my other half, I'm not whole, we're really trying to recalibrate around a lot of energies that aren't ours, which can't ever happen. And then there's that overwhelm.
Absolutely. Overwhelm shows me that you're in somebody else's genetic place. What I mean by that is that I have a specific, unique blueprint of information in my system, which my body and my soul is here to transform. And I have the keys for transforming that. If I take care of my mom, for example, and put her in the child place, and I become the mom or the dad for my parents, that means that I've gone into their genetic information, and I'll immediately feel overwhelmed. Also, the other siblings will feel that I've disrespected them. So they'll get pissed with me, even though I'm taking care of mom all the time. They feel like, hang on, there's something wrong here. So the genetic information, genetic place is very easy to correct. It's basically, as a child, I should stand in front of my biological mom and biological dad, and mom should be on the left behind me, dad should be on the right behind me. And by correcting that, then you're in your DNA, and the DNA flows, and the energetic field of the information can go back and resolved. All my children are on front of me, and that goes for any vanishing twins, miscarriage, and abortion. It's very important with miscarriage and abortion as well. The souls knew about the miscarriage and abortion. So on a soul level, the soul always knows what the life plan is beforehand. But some spirits need not the physical experience, but they need to be in your genetic place. So they're almost like the guardian angels of the family. But it's very important to work with miscarriage and abortion if there's one in the system, because if you don't honor your children in front of you, that you are a mom, you are a dad, and the kids love you, there's a connection on a soul level because they knew about the miscarriage and abortion, but they're here for different reasons, then there's going to be uncompletion in the system. There's going to be deadness in the system. There's going to be health conditions in the system. I've seen businesses collapse when a miscarriage or an abortion comes up in the system, or a twin comes up in the system.
And then someone's asking, can you move into someone else's body and caring for dementia in your parents? That's how it felt, and I'm having trouble letting go. And I think this realignment is really helpful.
So if you have a vanishing twin, you have a tendency to let system information belong to others into you. So if, for example, a loved one passes, you're taking on the personality levels and the information of their health into your system. So when I work with somebody, for example, if there's a loved one who's passed, when I look over the grave, when I went to my mom's graveyard, it was amazing what I could see. For the first time, I could see that everybody over the grave leaves their unprocessed information over the grave. So I realized that, oh wow, we take it into our system. As a vanishing twin, we have a tendency to take these things into our system because we're still looking for our twin. So we have a tendency to allow people who pass in our life their information into our bodies. So it feels like there's a spirit in you, but it's actually the health conditions even. It comes up very strong with dogs, with pets, okay? My pet tries to get into my child place or my partner place, and I'm saying like, no, you're my dog, you're not my child, you're not my partner. And the dog behaves different. The health of the dog will be affected if the dog goes into a child place, because now the dog is in your genetic field of your ancestral information. That's overwhelming for the dog, and the dog will pick up a disease or an illness or a behavior pattern which is in you or your family.
Well, we had a really dramatic shift. I didn't share this with you, but you had me consciously rearrange the positioning and create the positioning of I'm the parent, I'm the mom, he's the dad, you're the daughter, you're the children, we're the parents. And we didn't necessarily have a conversation with our kids, but with ourselves, we realigned that, like, get it in our psyche, like, because my daughter was always wanting to come into our bed and then she'd get between us. Oh no, don't kiss. No, you can't touch each other. And we're like, what the heck is going on here? And you pointed out how important that was to have the full conscious and subconscious registering. Here are our positions. Now, my son, since he's born, just like, I'm going to sleep on my own, didn't snuggle and cuddle in the bed, just always has to, when he falls asleep, he's got to go and be on his own. And after this shift, he started snuggling in our bed with us, like for the first time ever. So he's only 3 and he has great sleep. It was not like it was a problem. It was just something I noticed. And so now he's kind of once in a while getting in and getting cuddly. And my daughter is unquestioningly in a different way with my husband and me being together. I mean, it's massively different. Like the stuff just isn't happening anymore.
Yeah, because what happens is, because if you have a vanishing twin and you're in a twin relationship, it means you're still in the womb with your partner, okay? In that case, you can't have a child in the system, okay? So if you're a mother in the system, you're not a mother, you're a twin. So the children don't have a place to connect with mom and dad only as twin or else another sibling or partner. They could go in a partner place, but they don't have access to parent. So your daughter was going into the relationship place, or she was trying to jump into the twin place.
Yeah.
And your son was out of the system. Yeah. So as soon as you correct it in yourself, then you can become the mom and the kids can become the kids.
Major change. And I saw how important that is for just family systems in general, when there's confusion in the system. And you talked about like certain things that can happen with children. And I've seen that so many times, even in people who you could never imagine they would have incestuous relationships or certain things going on, and they would have so much guilt, but feel like, wow, I can't believe I let this happen. And I didn't realize that component to it that's there energetically. And someone's asking, is it possible if you don't have a vanishing twin that you take on other people's information, that you take information from someone who passed away? I mean, I kind of know the answer to this too, but why don't you speak to that too? Like,
okay. There's usually a lot of resistance, let's say. There's usually a lot of resistance. It can, I'd ask, why are you taking on these people? Why do you take this information so much into the system? So there could be a twin in the system. I always say, open up the possibility that there might be a twin in the system.
Well, and also I think this is a perspective that allows us to look at the energy system in a new way. So I don't get too caught up with the logistics of like what happened in the pregnancy or how many weeks was it, or I more took this perspective as a way to get under the energies of what is happening in the system that can realign us to, well, you had me just put the bubble, right? The bubble is in a big circular bubble instead of the open space that I'm in my own bubble of a completion and of wholeness in my own aura and in my own field and my own self. And that alone is a really strengthening exercise and a strengthening position to do. And then to align in my relationships, like you're in the partner space, you're not in my you're my other half space, you're not in my you complete me space because I'm so empty codependent relationship. To just consciously align, you are in my partner space, I am whole and complete, you are whole and complete, we are partnering. That's a very different alignment. So I think anyone could take advantage of that practice to begin to create
also what happens on the mind. I work very much in the subconscious, is the split minds, because there's a split between two personalities, so that can be released from the system as well. But also, if your parents had twins, that split minds, and also these habits are passed on through the family as well. I wanted to talk, you mentioned it, I think it's really important. For example, if a parent if there's a divorce and say the mom has the children and dad moves out. Now, if mom takes the place as dad and mom in the system, it means she's taken the genetic energetic field away from dad, okay? Or the dad can take it away from the mom, okay? Now, in the system, that means that mom's overwhelmed immediately because now she's playing mom and dad. She has the system information, the genetic fields of dad in the system, which does not belong to her system. So immediately she's going to be overwhelmed. Also, if the kids want to connect with mom or with dad, they're missing that connection because that's in mom now. So they'll be very confused, they'll be unstable, they may have got psychological problems, they may not be able to sleep at night, they're nervous and all the rest. But if they connect with dad on the weekends or something, the only possibility for the father to connect with the child now is relationship or twin.
Oh boy.
So in the energetic field of relationships, if you get, for example, if you're sleeping, if your child is in the same bed, I had it with a friend of mine who didn't see his daughter very often, and it turned out they were staying in a flat, and then I stayed over and I says, oh my God, what's your daughter doing in the bed? Get her out of the bed. And they were clear, there was nothing going on, but I could feel she was in the relationship place. And I says, no, if you get an early morning erection even, okay, the energy is transferred onto the child. And that comes up as abuse in the system because she's in the relationship place now. So that is sexual energy coming from your system. Mm-hmm. So that's ancestral energy in the system immediately opening up. So he doesn't need to do anything, but the energy is leaking into the system because the child wants the connection with dad, but the connection is not there because he doesn't have access to his children as dad anymore. Mm-hmm. So if there's a divorce, usually if I work with divorce or separation, I always set the intention or work with the parents, say, okay, you're always going to be the mom, you're always going to be the dad, even if another partner comes into the system, and your kids are always in front. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, in the separation, the kids feel safe.
Yes.
The kids feel stable and they feel good, even if there's somebody coming in like another mom, like another dad. They know mom's always mom, dad's always dad. Yeah. And there's no stress about someone taking dad's place away or mom's place away. So
it's a big deal. People are in their body. This is one of the biggest things I do that help people with healing is to get them anchored in their body. And you can imagine, like, if mom's not fully in the body, they don't feel mom. And then this other mom character comes along and it's very confusing.
Yeah. So the genetics is very simple to work with, but it's very simple to correct. You just simply need to know who you are in the system and be exactly the mom to your children, be the older brother, older sister to your siblings. Just be exactly who you are and name it. Say, as I'm mom and you're my daughter, my son, or as I'm the older son, name it. If you name it, it goes into the subconsciousness and it corrects it as well. It really makes a difference.
This happens a lot with people taking care of the parent, and then there's like resentment from all the other siblings, and they're resentful with why is no one helping me? And Sarah's asking, can we make realignments with our children already grown? And in fact, I've seen one individual I worked with privately where she was really frustrated that her husband was in this relationship with the daughter where they were like teamed up. And she's like, I kind of feel left out. Like they're always teamed up and they have this thing going. And then I'm over here. And it was definitely that relationship seat. Like she was no longer in that relationship seat so much with the husband, but then they kind of teamed up over here and it really made her feel terrible. And it was her own daughter. So she's like, I want my daughter to be close with her father. It was very confusing.
That's the relationship. So, but you can correct it. I worked with somebody recently who was absent as mom in the system. But I said, okay, well, you can be mom right now with your kids, even though they're adults now. Be the mom. Be exactly the mom with them. Tell them, as I'm your mom. Cook some muffins for them or something. Be a mom, And she went off and did that, and it was amazing. The different development ages of the children start healing over the next week or two. So by only being the mom in the system to her children, they start reliving those unprocessed or unlived parts in the childhood, the development stages of having a mom there cooking for me, taking care, and not just cooking, but nourishing me as a mom does in the system. And over about 2 weeks, she went through all the development stages with the two children, and they healed and the relationship changed completely. Mm-hmm. So you can rewrite history in a way by being in the present,
Yeah.
not into guilt, not into regrets, into shame, but being who you are in the system. And you only need to be, it's simple, you only need to be who you are in the system within the family system.
I see that all the time too, just to validate that diseases disappearing, anxiety disorder in kids, all kinds of things, really rearranging when we rearrange ourselves. A cat is asking, is it okay if the 7-year-old is in the parents' room in a separate bed? and there's not like a lot of right or wrong about sleeping arrangement. We just want to be aware of the energies we're stepping into.
What I was talking about was if one of the parents is not in the parent place, that's when the system can get confusing. So if one of the parents is not in the parent place, then there's the relationship place open, there's the friendship place open, there's a twin place open. So that's a different energy field. It's about the energy field. So once you're the parent, there's no problem with them sleeping over, it's fine. And they're the child. But the confusion comes in is if they go in your relationship seat. So if there's something not clear in the system. But usually that comes up a lot with the twin system. If you're in the twin system with a partner, the children have to find a connection with you. They know I need a connection with you, mom and dad. So how do I do it? If you're not being the mom and dad in the system, if you're being the twins, I'm missing that connection. So I need to jump into one of the systems. It could be a relationship or it could be a twin.
So what would be a way, if people are resonating with you and with what we're talking about, for them to start in exploring this further?
I have some talks on YouTube about it. I'm doing a webinar on Sunday about it. There'll be 2 webinars, and we'll go deep into the system, and you will feel the changes in the system. Once you melt into the energy field, I'll talk you through it. We'll work on it energetically, and we'll clear it from the system, from the blood cells, from the physical body as well. So
to be clear, Damien's website is DAMIENWYNNE. I had a little challenge finding the first time because of your last name, WYNNE, Damien Wynne.
WYNNE, yes.
And then his webinars, I love the way you're structuring your business and the way you're doing it with like doing these webinars. It's not a huge investment. You can be on this webinar, you can watch the recording of it and let it recalibrate your system. And you're just letting a new alignment come in while Damien is doing the work and like bringing these energies up, because it is really insightful to begin to think, like I did this meditation yesterday and I'm relaxing my shoulders, I'm relaxing my feet. And then I actually had the awareness to relax my business, to relax my relationship with my mother, to relax these specific things that we think are outside of us, but they're part of us. And so with the work Damien's doing, it's just a different way of understanding who you are, what you are, and how you can play with this energy and let so much of this energy release and rearrange itself so that your physical can rearrange itself, so that your life can rearrange itself, your experiences can show up very, very differently. Thanks, Alicia, for putting the link in there. So I really love the work you're doing. I think it's brilliant.
Then that's so important. Like I work a lot with business as well. And if this is in the business, there's undervaluing in the business. Like you can literally see in the stock market, if you see with the vanishing twin, there's low self-confidence. So then you're undervaluing yourself, you're undervaluing your business, you're undervaluing whatever you're doing. So usually I see when I'm working with business people that their stocks go up when their value goes up. So everything raises up. And they're doing it for themselves first. So it's not only about also financial flow. You'll get financial flow because finance represents fertility and creation. So you're allowing substance, you're allowing the essence of life back into your system, the joy of life, health, balance is in the system. So it's not just on the energetic, it's the work I do is about embodying results in your daily life. So that's in your relationship, in your finance, in your health, in your psyche, on every single level. Because if spirit needs to be in the body, when you get in the body, you start manifesting. And it's balance, it's love. And the universe only wants to love you, so it gives you. It's ourselves that's blocking it.
Well, I know people are really resonating with this so much. All of this is so mind-blowing and resonating with me so much. I connect with all of this. I'm curious to explore this further. We've had lots of great comments coming in. So I'm so glad we shared this. I know when I first, like I said, when you first introduced me to this, I was like, every single thing, ding, 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 with
That's what
many things
happens.
I felt for my whole life, and many things a lot of people in my community are feeling, where we're so empathic and so dialed in and so energy sensitive, but then living in a way where that is not so fluid, and it doesn't feel the wholeness of what we could really be living. And so I wanted to bring this in as another perspective and another way to play with the energies and allow a deeper alignment into wholeness. Whether you feel like this vanishing twin thing resonates for you specifically, or maybe just generally in the way we're approaching it, it might be something worth looking into and trying on and participating with. And I think it's awesome you have the webinar this weekend, which is like a sequel to when you originally did the work. What would we be doing in this? You can just talk a little bit about how that usually goes. I know there are usually two.
So there's two webinars. So if you go into the email, I'll email you preparation videos as well of how to prepare for it. So you'll do one, so it'll be 1 hour on Sunday. They're recorded, so I record them because you're meant to watch them a few times actually. So you can watch a year later or 2 years later. So the investments like lasts, you can keep going in and you'll keep getting deeper results each time, because as you're shifting your field, your energetic field, you're allowing more results into your system. So you'll keep making shifts and you'll maybe hear a few things. I love what you said about I always say the aha moments, you get just like, oh my God, aha, that's why I was like that. Like I had a lady there with cancer there the other week, of course it's not even my cancer, So it's like even the diagnosis isn't mine. So it works through, you'll just get this, okay, that's why my health was like that. That's why my relationship was like that. That's why I was doing everything for everybody else. That's why the business wasn't running smoothly. That's why I had financial topics. So your system corrects it immediately. As soon as you get that aha, it's like everything goes back into alignment. So I always give exercise to do. It's not just for the webinar. So it's something that you have to remember that. I worked with two artists. They were the best because it turned out they were living in the same place and everything. They were playing out each other's twins, and I worked with them separately, and it popped up that they're vanishing twins. And then they start working through in detail for months with each other about the details about what they were playing out for each other. And they really drove deep into it. And they were saying, wow, you have to realize that everything in your life up to this moment, you've done it with your twin. So it's sort of relearning to be yourself, relearning to live by yourself, relearning to make a decision by yourself, to eat for yourself. So it's a new way of being. There's two webinars on my website about it already, and then I'm doing another one on Sunday as well. There's going to be two of them on the following Sunday as well. As I say, if you can't make it live, you can watch the recording, and I will also do something on Instagram tomorrow to talk more about it, to see if you don't feel it resonates with you. If you want to talk, I'll talk more about it, and you can hear some more keys maybe that will feel you. But the field is so strong at the moment that the results are very strong at the moment as well. It's very fast. Everything's very fast at the moment.
Yes, exactly. People are on a whirlwind right now. So thank you for coming. I'm glad in this time, it's the last quarter of 2021. And I know things are really, really speeding up because we are awakening. We are meant to begin to experience ourselves as the free sovereign beings we are. We are primarily energy and vibration, and secondarily the physical. And the more we become in tune with that and begin to flow with that, the more smoothly this journey of ascension and awakening will be. And these are just some really great tools to begin to allow that to happen in a bigger way. Do you have anything to complete
and
with?
Also, it's about embodiment at the moment, as you say, like it is about embodiment. And the key is you can't embody if you're in somebody else's system. That's why the twin is so important for some people. It's not for everybody, but for someone who has a twin, it's crucial to work with the twin to embody who you are as spirit and embody your potential of why we're here to manifest on this planet at the moment, because it's a beautiful time for this shift. The systems are opening up because we can handle them and we can transform them. It's a gift for transformation. I see massive gifts at the moment. So yeah, it's a great time to be here.
Beautiful. Yes, things are opening because we can handle it. That's a good thing to remember, because when things are so big, we're trying to operate in the old operating system and handle it and manage it, and it's impossible. And people are aware of that. But it's like, wait, who can I expand into, or how can I be that lets this integrate and that lets this move through? And I'm just posting a video that you shared after you did that original Vanishing Twin webinar. It was like a follow-up integration, and I thought that exercise was so useful. So if people want to go on Damien's YouTube, I just shared the video for that little mini session, and he has so many more resources, so he's a great person to tune into.
Wow, thank you, Kim, for having me, and yeah, thank you everyone for your time and space. Beautiful, beautiful. What a great.
Thank you guys for being here. We'll be here every week at 11 a.m. Mountain Time live for MindBody TV in the MindBody community and Facebook, on my YouTube channel. And just hello to everybody who's listening to the recording as well. No, everyone who's severely ill long-term does not always have a twin. Do you want to speak a little blip on that? Because I know everybody who's going through this, it's a little confusing. Do you want to just speak a little?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So if everyone wants to take a deep breath and just breathe in, maybe we just do a little, because there's a lot of information, okay?
Yes.
Just take a breather, and everything that's up, if your mind's active, it's all okay. It's just helping us to go deeper. The noise on the outside is just helping us to go deeper. And simply take a deep breath into your cells. And another deep breath into the cells and releasing from your breath. And we're just balancing. And you don't have to know now if you have a twin. You can know in the next days, or I can guide you. What I'll do is, I won't do it now because it'll take too long. What I'll do is I'll do something on Instagram tomorrow or on YouTube to go through to see if you have a twin. I think that's the best thing to do. I'll do a 15-minute or 20-minute meditation to check, so you know before you go into the webinar, is it me or is it not me? I think that's the best, because otherwise, this, as you say, it's going to be confusion in the system.
And if people take on other people's energies, it kind of can be the same thing too. Like we just epic, and we just take on other people's energies, and you want to release that confusion.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll do one just for balancing, and if there's time, I could do a little one now. I don't know, Kim, is there time?
Yeah, we can take a few minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So simply just breathing into your spine and slowly releasing. And with permission, I'm just going to guide your energetic field to balance and clear a little bit and integrate. And everything that's open in you is a gift for transformation. It can go back to its origin. Everything's flowing your energy and vibration. Another deep breath into your spine. And release true breath. And inviting your spirit down into your body, into your legs, into your feet, into your nervous system. And then we'll get tomorrow to see if there's a twin in the system. So all's good. We're not running away. All's good. And we can chat tomorrow. I will do it on Instagram. Then we'll go onto YouTube. But I'll give that information out tomorrow, okay? And awesome. Just on my Instagram, just Damien Wynne. You'll see it there. Okay. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, everyone.
I'm so grateful. So glad we did this. Lots of love to everyone, and we'll see you again soon.
Super. Bye. Thank you. Bye.